and welcome to the show. I'm doing a slightly longer, sort of a long form video this time. I thought, you know what, usually when I'm on YouTube, I don't like necessarily to watch videos that are like, sort of 5 to 10 minutes long, which most of my videos tend to be. I kind of like to put like a big chunk of reviews out in one go. So this is kind of going to be like a show of reviews. Like this is my first, I guess, kind of episode of that. And that's, I guess, kind of what this is going to be like. It's the first one. Please let me know what you think about this sort of format in the comments below. Maybe smash a like button if you want. So I've seen a couple of movies recently, and there's been ups and downs. So let's start with this one first. Kraven the Hunter. So Kraven the Hunter is a new movie from Sony. It's the new Aaron Taylor Johnson film, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, also starring Ariana DeBose. It's got that guy from Gladiator. Why don't I remember his name? Oh, Russell Crowe. There we go. And yeah, it's one of those new superhero films. It's sort of in the Spider-Man universe, but in this sort of film Spider-Man universe where Spider-Man doesn't seem to be here. It's just things like Morbius, that awful film, Madam Web, that awful film. It's kind of like it's just kind of like a universe of really awful films, if I'm honest with you. And Kraven the Hunter is awfully bad. It fits right in to this universe. Like, it's real snug right in there. So yeah, what did I think of this film? Surprise, surprise, I thought it was absolutely shit. I'm just going to I'm checking my phone for some notes here. If you don't want me to do that, please let me know in the comments below. But yeah, the cast is so good. Like, how does Sony, they must have like great pictures, great sort of, I don't know, casting teams, because how do they get such amazing actors? And they're not even like they actually seem to be pretty pumped about these films that they're in as well. Like, the pitch to these actors must be so good, because I remember, was it like CinemaCon or something, when Aaron Taylor Johnson, the actor, was like, it's gonna be fucking R-rated. Like, he was so excited that this is gonna be an R-rated film. Like, he was so pumped about this film. Like, I don't know, the director's vision or whatever, that he must have really communicated it in such an exciting way, because it just ended up being such a nothing film. And like, I think the only good film in these sort of this universe is the first Venom. Everything else has been just pointless, outright bad, meaningless. This film really feels meaningless. It feels like this film has no meaning. It has no purpose. This film does not need to exist. That's kind of what you feel watching this film. And yeah, it's just a shame, because the talent involved. I love Aaron Taylor Johnson. Ever since he was the little kid in Shanghai Nights with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson, he plays that little kid who ends up being Charlie Chaplin for some reason. And then into what's the superhero kind of one that he was on? What's that one called? Kick-Ass. I love that film. And yeah, he's a really strong actor. I really, really love him. I think he's awesome. And I can't wait to see him in the next 28 years later, or whatever it's called. I think that's going to be amazing. Damn, this film is such a miss. It's so, it just doesn't feel focused in any way, shape, or form. It's just, making something R-rated. This is a clear example of just making something R-rated doesn't make it good. You've got to have a good film that needs to be R-rated. Like, there has to be a reason. Like, there's so much sort of meaningless kind of blood and gore in this film, which might be exciting if it was in a film that really earned its R-ratedness. Like Deadpool, for example. That earns its R-ratedness. I know we don't do R rating here in the UK, but whatever it is, it's just, yeah, it doesn't work. Not for me at all. It feels just weird having this whole universe that is really based on the comics to do with Spider-Man. Like, you just want Spider-Man there all the time, and he's never there. He's never referenced, and this film is just another miss, a huge miss. It's as bad as Madam Web, in my opinion. I think it's made less money than Madam Web, so that's just my opinion. I do recommend the film, though. You should go watch it. Let me know what you think of the film, because I guess, I don't know, I might be missing something. This universe is profitable. You know, I've watched some videos on this, and this universe is quite profitable for Sony. So Sony's not going to stop making these films. So am I missing something? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, because I just want to know. I want to hear your thoughts, really. That's all I want. So on to the next film. The next one that I watched at the cinema recently is the film Queer. So Queer is the new Daniel Craig movie. I was going to say Craig Daniel then. Yeah, the new Daniel Craig film starring Daniel Craig, directed by Luca Guadagnino. And what did I think of this film? I actually have a couple of thoughts about this film. It's got a really, really strong first half. Fascinating. Luca Guadagnino, the director, is really great at making films to do with desire, like sexual desire, and all of the complications that go with that, all of the nuances that go with that. And there's lots that you don't even think about. There's loads of nuances and complications, and this film is about this homosexual man, I guess maybe in his like 50s. He's in like Mexico or something, and he's just sort of being attracted to much younger men, and it's him trying to flirt with them, and it's about that kind of gay community. And yeah, the tension is palpable on the screen. Like when you're watching Daniel Craig trying to flirt awkwardly with these young, handsome men. And Daniel Craig's still handsome, obviously. But yeah, he's definitely older. He's considerably older. And just the way he acts is really good. I just think, yeah, it's kind of sexy. It's a sexy first half of the film, I have to say. Like, it's really, really good. But unlike, because this director also did Challenges this year, which I thought was awesome. Unlike Challenges, this is really unfocused, because it's not sort of like laser focused. Like Challenges was really laser focused. It's this sort of 3 people relationship and tennis. That's it. This is like, okay, we've kind of dabbled in the sort of gay community in Mexico by white people in like the, I don't know, 50s or whatever it was. Now we're gonna go into sort of drug addiction, and we're going to go to the jungle, and we're going to try to discover the power of telepathy, where you can speak to people just through your mind. I mean, it's about lots of weird things that it doesn't smoothly glide into one another, these different subjects at all. It's like chapter 1's this, chapter 2's this, chapter 3's this. It literally says chapter, and you're like, well, this is so jarring and odd and a bit, I don't know, a little bit artsy for me. Like, well, I like a good sort of auteur director. I like that, but this film definitely lacks focus. I'm really sorry. Like, I really wanted to love this film because the first half was great, but yeah, what can I say? It was just like, really like, kind of just finding this dull, because it doesn't make sense where we've just gone, and the next bit I don't really understand why we're here. Like, what is the tone of this film? It gets really trippy and strange. It just does not go, when you're watching the first, like, I don't know, hour of the film, you're like, I've got a really good sense of where this film is probably going to go. And it does it. It meanders down a completely random path, and then meanders again, and you're just like, what is this? Like, I was getting kind of frustrated by the end. I just wanted it to end, if I was honest with you. Granted, I wasn't necessarily in the best headspace whilst I was watching this film. I have to say, I want to be honest with my audience. When I was watching this film, I got a message from an ex just politely telling me that she started seeing someone else. So I was just like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. You know, I'm really happy for her. Like, but it just put me in a headspace of like, I feel a bit fidgety now. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I'm a little bit fidgety now. So yeah, maybe I wasn't in the best headspace. Maybe I need to watch it again. But that feels like a nightmare because this film is just not every book needs to be adapted into a film, and some books just are better as books. Like this sounds like a really complicated book, and this adaptation into a film, nah, not for me. I would obviously I'd recommend it. I'd recommend the film. Go and watch the film and let me know what you think of the film. Just let me know in the comments below because I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to read your thoughts, please. Telepathy is what I want. Okay, now on to the next movie I watched recently. I literally watched this the other day. It is, of course, the new Carry On film. If you're English, Carry On films are like these super English, like sort of tongue-in-cheek, how's your father type comedies. But yeah, Carry On, the film I'm talking about now, is the new Taron Egerton. Who's called Taron? Taron Egerton film, starring Taron Egerton. It's Carry On. It's a new action sort of Christmas film. So it's got nothing to do with Kenneth Williams. But I love those old Carry On films. What can I say? Okay, this film, Carry On. What is this film about? It's about a mysterious traveler blackmails a young TSA agent into letting a dangerous package slip through security and onto a Christmas Eve flight. What a lovely Christmas story. I just read that from IMDb. It sounds formulaic, right? And it is. But the formula works. It just works. I'm sorry, what can I say? This film is good. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was good. It was just good old-fashioned sort of die-hard film. Just one guy kind of stuck in a situation having to fight terrorists off, basically. And have to sort of do it secretly. There's like a Jean-Claude Van Damme called Sudden Death. Jean-Claude Van Damme film called Sudden Death, which I really love. It just sort of reminds me of that. It's like this one guy really having to very carefully navigate his way through this situation. It's a bit like Phone Booth as well. What can I say? I really love these films. And it's got Jason Bateman in it as well. He's really good. My friend said that he finds Jason Bateman in Arrested Development to be like this super handsome guy, but whenever I see him, he hasn't got any lips, and that's like a big facial feature for me in terms of beauty. Nothing against people without any lips. I'm just saying he has no lips. This guy does not have a lip. He has not got a lip. I'm not sure if Taron Egerton's got a lip either. I didn't pay much attention. But the film was good. The film was exciting. There's this insanely amazing car chase in the middle of this film because the film presents itself as an action film, right? But a lot of especially the first half is like, sit there, sit down, don't act suspicious, just completely keep your calm. Like a lot of the first half of the film is devoid of any action because he's got to behave like everything's okay, even though he's got this earpiece in his ear and a terrorist saying, I'm going to kill your girlfriend. Like, he's got to behave like everything's okay. So it's just devoid of any action. It's just like, oh, what would you do in this situation? How can you get out of this situation? And then suddenly, like halfway through the film, there's this insane sort of car chase film with that actor who looks oddly like Tom Hardy. And yeah, really, really great action. When it gets to the action, it's really good action. It's like just heightened action. Really, really fun car chase. And I would say this is definitely a Christmas film. I am one of those people that say Die Hard is a Christmas film because it's like a Christmas miracle's happened, guys. It's set in Christmas. There's the Christmas vibe everywhere. Everybody sort of has that Christmas spirit about them. And even though this is about terrorists and action, you want a Christmas miracle to happen. And it is a miracle that one guy can sort of defeat these terrorists in this way. It is kind of a miracle. So it's like a Christmas miracle. I think this is definitely 100% a Christmas film. I think I put that debate to bed. And yeah, I just think the film was great. I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's probably just fine as a Netflix film, if I'm honest with you. It doesn't necessarily need to be in a cinema. So watch this at home. I 100% recommend it. Really, really fun film. And just one of those films where you go, yeah, that was following the formula, sort of step by step by step. At no point was I ever super surprised, because I was like, I kind of know what's going to happen. And even so, it like gripped me. It got my attention. I was having a really good time. And after the film finished, I was like, that's way better than Queer and Kraven the Hunter. And probably way cheaper. And I didn't have to go out. So that's always a plus. So yeah, I recommend it. Please, if you've seen it, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Let me know so I can read your mind, read your thoughts. Next film, let's go on to the next film. Conclave. Conclave is the brand new, is it Ralph Fiennes? Is that his name? Ralph Fiennes movie starring Ralph Fiennes. So Ralph Fiennes in this film, directed by Edward Berger. Sorry, this is about a. I'm just gonna read the IMDb synopsis, because I'm always worried when I come up with a synopsis in my head on my own. I'm like, am I just spoiling the whole film right now? Hopefully I'm not. So this is when Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with leading one of the world's most secretive and ancient events, selecting a new pope. He finds himself at the center of a conspiracy that could shake the very foundations of the Catholic Church. This film also has John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci. This film knocked my socks off. This film is amazing. It's so well shot. The film is beautiful. There are moments in this film where it's just men in robes sitting in a room talking, and you're like, I want to hang this up on my wall. This looks amazing. There's a scene with like an explosion sort of near the top of the church, and like, it just looks beautiful. It looks like a godly intervention somehow. It just looks amazing. The cinematography is just, I don't know if anyone's really talking about it, but I thought it was beautiful. There were so many moments I was like, I could hang that up on my wall. I honestly just thought this film is way too beautifully shot for what it is, which is just people talking. And that is the sign of a fucking incredible script, because this film isn't an R-rated film at all, but it feels adult. Like, I'm sure this film is just a PG. I'm sure you could technically take a 3-year-old into the cinema to see this, but it feels adult. There's no blood, there's no swearing, there's no sex, there's no drugs, there's nothing like that. But it's still about a topic for adults. This is an adult topic. It's about philosophy. It's about religion. It's about politics. It's sort of about adult themes, and you watch it and you're like, oh man, this is great. Like, I love seeing a film that isn't R-rated yet is completely and 100% not for kids. Like, great, that's wonderful. Like, this is just a wonderful script. It didn't need any of that other stuff to keep you interested. It didn't need a single bit of it. You know, it was just interesting in and of itself. It was so well written. It was kind of riveting. Like, it should be boring. To me, that could be the most boring subject ever. Just, oh, we've got to choose the next pope. Like, I'm not very religious. I think it's kind of silly. And yeah, it was riveting. Much like Two Popes, which came out a couple of years ago. That was oddly riveting as well. And then once I watched on a whim, I watched that film about, what was it called? It was about the Catholic priests. I watched it with a mate, and it's just, I don't know, something, I guess there's something about Catholic priests which I find incredibly interesting and riveting to watch, because it's kind of bizarre. I have to say, I am probably a little bit biased because I vehemently disagree with a lot of stuff Catholics talk about. You know, I have a lot of friends in the gay community. I think women should be able to have abortions. I have all those sort of views. Yeah, I'm that kind of guy. And I know Catholics deeply, deeply want to say that condoms spread AIDS. I know that that's a thing that a lot of Catholics want to say, and popes kind of say, and protecting paedophiles and things. Apart from all that kind of stuff, I'm biased against this. And when I was watching it, I have to say, my biases were coming up. I could feel it. I was like, the silliness of the robes, the opulence of the buildings, like all the gold and the jewels and the burlesque of it, the whole sort of tradition of it. It all seems silly, like writing the name on the letter and threading the letter and making the smoke, but it all just seems so silly and like don't we live in the 21st century? Like, that was bubbling up in me. And I was like, you're not going to get, this film is going to be not one for me. But like those other Catholic films that I've watched, Two Popes and that other one I can't remember the name of, it's going to kick me if I don't ever remember the name of that film. But yeah, this film, it kind of changes your mind by the time you get there. There's some real beautiful speeches from these, are they cardinals? Yeah, cardinals and priests or whatever they are. Some really, really stunning speeches that you just think, it really makes you think about faith in a different way. I know Ralph Fiennes has just this incredible speech about, like, let's make our next pope be a doubtful pope. Because being doubtful is so human. And he really, I guess he's a very modern priest because he's embracing doubtfulness. And I guess the idea of faith inherently has doubtfulness in there as well. And I just found it very, very beautiful. Like, it almost brought a tear to my eye. And another priest towards the end gives this huge speech. And he's just like, it just hit me. What can I say? It just hit me. I don't necessarily believe in, I consider myself an agnostic person, and I don't necessarily believe in God. But man, the things that they were saying definitely made me think, like, man, faith is such an important thing, and having a community of people that kind of believe in goodness and beauty and love. Like, wow, it's so nice that there's this practice with a leader who's really just there trying to talk about love. Like, just amazing, just really, really great stuff. And that other film I couldn't remember the name of is called Spotlight. But yeah, what can I say? This film just knocked my socks off. I thought it was great. I thought it was incredible. And like I say, riveting. I highly recommend this film. Go and watch this film if it's still out of the cinemas. I hope it is. If not, it'll probably be on streaming somewhere soon. But I totally recommend it. If you've seen it, if you, my viewer friends, have seen it, let me know in the comments below so I can just read them and know what you think. Nightbitch. Nightbitch is the new Amy Adams film starring Amy Adams, and it's also starring Scoot McNairy, the silliest name for someone to ever have. But a great actor. He was in Speak No Evil or See No Evil, whatever it was called earlier on this year, where he plays a really sort of feeble guy, and he's playing a similar guy in this film, I must say. So what is this film about? I'm reading the synopsis from IMDb. A woman pauses her career to be a stay-at-home mum, but soon her domesticity takes a surreal turn. This film, okay, that synopsis doesn't really say quite enough. She starts to become a dog in this film. I'm not sure if it's kind of hinted at. Is it a metaphor? Is this just a thing for us to sort of see as an audience, but it's not something that's really happening? Or is it something that's really happening? Like, again, it kind of hints at both options there. And yeah, that I have to say, I do have some thoughts about this film. And we're going to get into this one a bit more, okay? Because I have some serious thoughts. That whole metaphor-y thing, I'm sorry, but it a little bit frustrates me and annoys me. Like, I want to know what's happening in the film. I'm sorry, but like, there is a place for metaphor, but you can't have. I don't want to see huge chunks of movie where I'm like, I don't know if this is happening. Like, yeah, I guess it, in a way, in a sense, it's happening inside her internally. It's happening when she's discovering like the tale or whatever. But is it? It's not really happening, right? At all. And it's not that she's going crazy. It's a metaphor for something. It's about the animalistic nature of what it is to be a female who's given birth and created life. It's a metaphor for that. I get it. I get the metaphor, but I'm like, oh, like so much of this movie isn't actually happening, and like that bothers me when I watch films. I'm sorry, like there must be other ways to incorporate metaphors and just have huge chunks of the movie where I'm like, well, this isn't really happening, you know? And maybe I'm a story driven guy. Maybe I like films where the story is always moving forward, but this is more a character development type of film. And I get it. I like films like that sometimes. But yeah, like, oh, it's frustrating. I have to say, it really bugs me when I'm watching films like that. And I'm like, ugh, this bit isn't happening that I'm watching right now. And it's not that I don't mean she's going crazy. It's not like Jack Nicholson in The Shining going crazy and he's an unreliable narrator. It's not like that. It's more just like, no, this is a metaphor from the creators of this movie to us, the audience. And there's no one sort of going crazy here necessarily. And so that number one, right off from the bat, I guess I'm getting a bit annoyed watching this film. I also get a little bit annoyed because her performance is so good. Like, Amy Adams is such a strong performer. Damn, have you seen her in The Fighter? She's incredible. She's amazing. She's one of the best actresses we have. She's in The Fighter. It's one of my favorite films, The Fighter. She's in that Alien film. What's it called? What's that Alien film called? By the guy who directed Dune? Arrival. She's incredible in that film. She's so good in that film, damn. She's so fucking good. And she's great in this film as well. And you can see her acting her face off here. And that central performance from her is incredible. And Scoot McNairy's just so Scoot. If that name, it was an onomatopoeia for the... like, if there was an onomatopoeia for a kind of dweeby guy who doesn't really wear the pants in a relationship and he's kind of a bit meh, the sound that it would make would be Scoot McNairy. Like, that's just just such a silly name. But yeah, they're both really good. They play their parts so well, but it's such a shame that it's in a movie that annoys me. Like, and that annoyed me even more. It's like, damn, these performances are good. Fuck's sake. Why? It's not a waste of these performances, but come on, like, let's see what's actually happening. I want to see what's really going to happen in this relationship. And then, to be honest with you, I'm not even really a big fan of the message of the film, I have to say. And let me just, so, you know, I don't want to be misrepresented here. Okay, there's going to be some spoilers. There'll be some spoilers. Spoiler alert for a film that's not story-based at all. Can there be spoilers? But yeah, there's a spoiler alert. Okay, if you don't want to hear spoilers, leave your comments below and then go away. All right. She asks for a divorce so she can go back to work, and everything in her life gets better. You know? That's the message. You don't need to have a mum and dad bringing up a kid anymore. Share the kid, live separately, share the kid, and everyone work forever. As if spending time with your kid is not a good way to spend your life. You need to work or be creative or whatever it is, the things. And so let me just say my point of view. So that's kind of what the story is sort of saying, I guess, unless I've completely misread it. But I think either's fine. Like, spend time with the kid if you want to, or work if you want to. Like, either's good. Couples can make either work. That's fine. But the thing that pissed me off the most in this film is that there are situations, bad situations in this world, and you hear about them all the time, and they're so common, where the woman will feel forced into staying at home with the kid, right? And that's awful. That's bad. And the man might physically force her, might mentally sort of manipulate her into doing that. People around her might guilt trip her into spending time with the kid and being home rather than working, like a working mum or the poor kid. You know, that kind of shit. That's bad. That's worth making this story about, right? But in this film, Scoot McNairy is not like that. And this pissed me off so much when I was watching it because he's got this huge apology at the end. This huge sort of like, I'm so sorry. Like after they break up and divorce, and then she becomes super creative and amazing again and puts on this great sort of interactive sort of art installation thing. And she's incredible and everyone's like, you're so amazing. And he has this huge, like, I'm so sorry. And I put my head in my hands and I'm just like, you don't need to be sorry, mate, because as it was shown in the film, you didn't guilt trip her into staying home as a mum. You didn't physically force her to stay home as a mum. In fact, you let her sort of have this decision, right? And not in like I'm gonna say she has this decision, but secretly I know what she's gonna do. No, he let her have the decision, and she chose to be a stay-at-home mum, and he just supported her decision. Whatever her decision was, he seemed to support her. And he even says to her later, like, I would have supported you either way. Like, he says that as they're breaking up. And so, in my opinion, he has absolutely no need to apologize. It annoyed me so much. It's just like, why is that like the triumphant moment of this film? This woman who chose to be a stay-at-home mum then has to tell her husband, like, you should have... she actually literally says, you should have, like, pushed me to stay an artist. As if it's his job to make sure her dreams are accomplished. Like, I don't like that. Like, if you're going to make a partnership with somebody and create a life with somebody, you've got to be a fully formed human who knows what you want and knows your passions and know yourself. That's what you should bring. You should bring yourself, your full self, to a relationship. You should know yourself 100%, and the other person should know themselves 100%. So you can bring that stuff to the relationship. She should just know herself. She should have just known when they're talking about how are we going to finance having this baby. Are we both going to work? One of us going to stay home? Am I just going to work? Are you just going to work? When they're having this conversation, like before the baby comes, you should be someone who knows yourself. You should know deep down in your heart the things that you want. And if she wanted to stay at home as a mum, which I think is totally fine and totally amazing, actually, if people ever want to do that, man or woman, but you can't guilt trip the other person then if you make that decision. I don't think you should be able to guilt trip him. And then it's so bad that at the end, his big apology is like, I'm so sorry I didn't practically force you to be an artist your whole life and let you stay home with our kid. I'm so sorry. That's completely like my fault, and I'm sorry. And it's just like, oh, you don't need to be sorry, Scoot McNairy, but you've got that name, so I guess you're going to be sorry because your name is that kind of person. So annoying. I didn't like the film. I'm so sorry. This film was not for me. Maybe I completely got the wrong end of the stick. Maybe I did. I don't know. Maybe I'm a misogynist somehow in what I just said. I don't think I am, though. I just think people need to be honest when they're communicating with their partners at all times. And if you feel a certain way, you should say it. And don't gaslight the other person into thinking it's all their fault. That's kind of what I feel. So yeah, do I recommend this film? Yeah, go and watch it. It's got some fun sort of body horror-y bits, but yeah, in the end, not for me at all. Sorry, not for me. But let me know what you thought of the film. If I got it completely wrong, I'd actually really love to know. What did I miss there? I might have missed something, some nuance, or maybe I'm just so biased that I couldn't oversee my own biases, that I'm totally aware that could have happened as well. And I'd love to learn. I would really love to learn if there's something that I've missed there. But so let me know what you thought in the comments below. And that's the end of our episode, our big, long episode of reviews. It's been a really good time. I enjoyed doing these longer episodes. So those are some films. I recommend them all. I should be more serious with my recommendations though. But yeah, thank you very much.